Good afternoon, students.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, sir.
Okay, we won't wait for others. Let's begin. Whatever we had discussed yesterday, समझ आ गया था बच्चे तरन? Nitin, you were absent yesterday. सब ठीक है?
यस सर सर कल नेटवर्क इशू आ रहा था थोड़ा.
Okay. कल हमने वीडियो भी रिकॉर्ड नहीं की, so I couldn't share it. So you missed up.
ओके सर.
How? तरन बच्चे कल जो डिस्कस किया था, could you understand everything?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Today we'll continue with inheritance. कल inheritance किया था या नहीं? हाँ जी तरन, कल inheritance किया था या नहीं?
सर कल हमने C8 क्लास की थी.
हाँ, inheritance किया था. What I'm asking. I think हमने किया था. Yes, here it is. Person and student के group. Okay, we'll continue with inheritance today, and let's see how constructors behave in case of inheritance. So let us have a class base. And let us define a constructor in it. Self dot a is equal to 10. And let us define a display function. Print self dot a. So very simple class base with one instance attribute and one instance method. And let us create a new class from it. We will call it derived. Okay, I'm not doing anything else. And let me write pass here. If I write pass, it means the derived class is empty. We are not adding anything extra in the derived class. So from this, let us create an object of derived, and then object of derived dot display. Let's see what happens. Oh, sorry, I forgot to write here base. Object uh, derived is derived from base or inherited from base. So when we run it, it is showing 10. ये clear है बच्चे? I told you last time that in case of inheritance, derived class will inherit all the properties or attributes and all the behavior or methods of the base class. So in this case, self.a of base means a attribute, which is instance attribute of base, will become part of derived, and display will also become part of derived. So through the object of derived, when I am calling display function, it is showing me value of instance attribute a of base class. ये clear हो गया बच्चे?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, right now what we have done, we have created a derived class from base, but the derived class is not adding anything new to the base class. And if we add something, for example, if I write here, if I write its constructor, and here if I write self dot a is equal to 20, and then I further write display self print self dot a, and here let's see what happens. It is writing 20. Now the important thing is whether this a belongs to base class or it's a new instance in a. For this purpose, let us write id also. Id of self.a and the value of a. Similarly here, id of self.a and then the value of a. And now let's create two objects. But for objects, it will definitely be the same. Okay, what we can do here, okay, one more thing. Before discussing it, let me tell you one more thing. We have a constructor in base class, right? When we create a constructor in derived class also, we call it constructor overriding, right? We are overriding the base class constructor. Similarly here, we have a display function in base class. So this is method overriding. We are creating a new method in derived class with the same name which is already existing in base. Then we call it method overriding. So if you want to call the base class function, what you can do, you can call it like this: super. Super is a special function which represents the base class dot display. So it will call the display function of super class. So let us try this now. You can see that ID is the same. Here, what we have done, let me tell you once again. We created a base class. In the constructor, we set the value of A to value of attribute, this instance attribute A to 10. Then there is a display function. We are displaying ID of A and value of A. Then we created a base class, right? Sorry, derived class from base. We have overridden the constructor here and set value of A to 20. The basic idea is to know whether we are using the same A, it's the same instance of A, or it's a new A, right? And then we are setting it to 20, and then in the display function, which is again overridden, right? We have overridden the base class display function. So here we are calling super.display. So it will display this function. It will call this function first. It will write ID of A and its value. Now, what has happened? We have created an object of derived class. I told you that when you create an object of a class, its constructor is called. So this constructor will be called and value of A will be set to 20. Now, when you are calling super.disp, it is calling the superclass function. You can check that the ID of A is same. Value is same because we have overridden it here. Is this thing clear, Vijay? Yes, is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So if I write here A plus 20, I just want to check whether A initial value is 10 and then it is added, 20 is added to it and it becomes 30 or not. Now just look at it. What has happened here? It is saying derived object has no attribute A. It means you cannot modify the value of this variable like this. You cannot increment it, but you can initialize it, right? You cannot modify the value of base instance attribute by modifying its value, but you can set it a new value for this. Okay. If you want to call, say, let us take up one more example. Just a minute. Okay. Let me remove it from here. Method overriding समझ आ गई बच्चे and constructor overriding.
Yes, sir.
When a base class constructor or base class instance method is defined again in the derived class, that is called method overriding. Okay. Now coming to types of inheritance, we have in Python we have two types of inheritance: single. We have single inheritance and we have multiple inheritance. What we have discussed till now, we have considered examples of single inheritance only. Single inheritance means creating a class from one existing class, and multiple inheritance means creating one class from multiple existing classes. Let us take up an example of it. Let us create a class A. Let us have its constructor. self dot a is equal to 10. Then in the constructor itself, we'll print the value of a. Let's create one more class, b. Self dot b is equal to 20. Print self dot b, and then let us create a class c which is derived from a and b. Now it's very important. Pay attention here that how it's being done. I'm creating a constructor for this also. Self dot c is equal to 30. Print c self dot c. Okay, fine. Now let us create an object of c. Object of c. I have it written b here. It should be c. Okay. Object of c is equal to c class, and simply this much. There are no display function because we are printing the value of the attribute in the constructor itself. Let's see what happens. As you can see, when we created C class using A and B, first of all, this is multiple inheritance because we are using more than one classes for creating or for deriving a new class. This is multiple inheritance. Okay. So what we are doing here, we are printing only the value of C. Now, if I call super constructor, now the problem is there that there are two super classes, A and B. Which constructor will be called? Any idea? Yes, any idea which constructor will be called? चलो अभी देखते हैं. You can see it's printing 10. It means constructor of A has been called because here we had set A is equal to 10 and then printing the value of A, it is printing 10. Okay, if I write here B and after that A, if I change the sequence of inheritance in case of multiple inheritance, and you can see it is printing 20. So it means this super constructor belongs to the class which appears on left hand side in case of inheritance. Is it clear, Vache? Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now the issue is I want to call constructor of both the classes A as well as B. फिर क्या होगा? So in that case, what you need to do, you need to derive this from object class, which is an inbuilt class. Derive it from object. So in each of these, call super constructor. It means we are calling constructor of the object class in both of these. Super, and then let us see what happens. You can see here we have called super class constructor, and in this particular case it's calling constructor of both the classes. देखो बेटा ये clear है? Yes, is it clear or not? अरे
Yes,
Yes,
sir,
sir.
it's clear.
हाँ बोल दिया करो भाई, मुझे पता लगता रहे जाग रहे हो. Okay, then there is a concept called, you need to understand it well. What does it mean? It is called method resolution order, MRO, right? It basically means, let me tell you, it basically means if you are calling a superclass method in case of multiple inheritance, then how method resolution order will be performed. It's very simple. Like in this case, let us have a display function also. Print, I'll write A, or let it be inside A, and then value of A as well, self.A. Okay. Similarly, let me write a display function in B also. Here we'll write B inside B, and here let me call super dot display. Let's see what happens now. कहीं कुछ गड़बड़ हुई. Oh, I missed a bracket here. Display takes 0 argument, but oh, I forgot to write self. In both the cases, you need to write self, only then it will be an instance method. And you can see it is calling inside B because B is appearing on left hand side. Now, what happens in this case? You can see it here. Display is present in both the classes A as well as B, which are not related. Okay, but C, in case of C, since we are deriving it from B and C, the order will matter. So, what is method resolution order? If the method exists in left class, then it will be executed. And if it is not present in left class, for example, I'm removing it from here. Okay, I'm removing it from B class. If it is not present in left class, then it will check for its existence in right class. You can see it here. Since it is not existing in B, it is not executing that function since it is not there. So it is moving to the right class, which is A, and then it is checking whether this function is there. Yes, it is there. So it is printing inside A 10. ये concept clear हो गया बेटे?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
That's
Yes,
all
sir.
about inheritance. Let's move to polymorphism now. I had told you earlier what is polymorphism. Yes, what is polymorphism?
जिसमें से different types हों.
Different types किसकी हो? बोलो. What kind of different types? अरे बोलो भाई. हाँ? किस तरह की different types हो?
सर ये नहीं आते.
ये क्यों नहीं याद अभी? यहाँ गड़बड़ रहेगी फिर से. Okay. It is working. Let me save it. It's been saved. Let me restore the other programs. Polymorphism का मतलब है ऑपरेटर्स या मेथड्स के मल्टीपल फॉर्म्स होना. ओके, मेथड्स या
Okay, sir.
ऑपरेटर्स के मल्टीपल फॉर्म्स होना, उसको बोलते हैं पॉलीमॉर्फिज्म. पॉली मींस मल्टी, फॉर्म्स यू ऑलरेडी नो. इज इट देयर इनहेरिटेंस टू? हमने पहले किया इनहेरिटेंस का कुछ? Let me just save these programs. Okay, file save as inheritance 4, and then हमने further change किया था. Okay, fine. we were discussing about polymorphism. Basically, there are three methods of achieving polymorphic behavior. One is operator overloading. Second is method overloading. And third is method overriding. Method overriding हमने कर लिया, operator overloading अभी करेंगे. And method, I repeat, method overriding हमने कर लिया, operator overloading अभी करेंगे. And method overloading directly supported नहीं है polymorphism में, right? Method overloading का meaning क्या है? For example, हमारे पास एक sum है, function है sum. We are passing two parameters to it, x and y. And then we have one more function sum, जिसको हमने तीन parameters pass किए. Now what is similar here? Name of the function or name of the method, and how they are different from each other based on their number of arguments. This happens in case of Java and C++ and in many other languages, but this concept is not available directly in Python. Okay, इसका एक वर्क अराउंड है which we are not going to discuss, वो थोड़ा लेंथी होता है, उसको डिस्कस नहीं करेंगे. बट जैसे हैक्स होते हैं ना, डायरेक्ट मेथड नहीं है, तो देयर इज अ हैक अवेलेबल. फॉर एग्जांपल, एक मेथड होता है इसको वेरिएबल नंबर ऑफ आर्गुमेंट्स पास कर देना, और दूसरा मेथड होता है इसको मैक्सिमम नंबर ऑफ आर्गुमेंट्स पास कर देना. कि हमने फॉर एग्जांपल आई विल शो यू, लेट अस क्रिएट अ क्लास 10 and or let's have a function itself straight away. Let's have a function def sum x y z. So we have taken three parameters. If x is not equal to 0 and y is not equal to 0 and z is not equal to 0, then return x plus y plus z, right? Else if y is not equal to 0 and z is not equal to 0, sorry, it should be x and y, and let us set their initial values to 0. I'll tell you its meaning. Okay, then return x plus y. So this is the method. What you will do here, you will write print sum 10 and 20 and 30, right? Similarly, print sum 10 and 20. So let's see. So this is actually not method overloading, right? Because we have only one method, but it can be called using two different methods or even three, right? So this is not function overloading. It is not available directly in in Python. So let us discuss first operator overloading. Be very careful. What we are going to discuss, वो आपको use करना है. And in case class खत्म हुई, will continue with it. जब तक ये complete नहीं कर लेते operator overloading का. Operator overloading का meaning क्या है now? So let us remove it from here. Method overriding हमने कर लिया. We'll discuss it again, no problem. Operator overloading करते हैं. For example, a very simple example, plus. I have written A plus B. Now, for some of the data types, behavior of plus is already defined, that it will add numbers, right? And it may be for concatenating strings, right? It may be used for adding numbers or concatenating strings. This is the default behavior of plus. Similarly, if I write A less than B, then Definitely these are numbers. A and B are numbers because we are comparing them. Can we compare two strings using less than, equal, less than or greater than or less than equal to or something like that? Can we do that? Can we do it with strings also? Have you ever tried it? Yes, anybody? Have you tried this? कम ही try करते हो programs को. Okay, it's not possible. Okay, we'll create a class. अभी मैंने कल आपको एक assignment दी थी date class की. So we'll create a class time this time. I'm naming it C time. Very quickly we'll go through it. Self time may consist of R. It may consist of, or let it be R, minute and second. Once again, we will have accessor functions and mutator functions. And we'll check, like yesterday I had given you assignment, check whether a date is valid or not, right? Similarly, we'll check it here. Is valid, we'll check R, minute. Oh, just a minute, what has happened here? Is valid, if is valid, we'll pass it R, minutes and seconds. Then self dot R is equal to H, self dot minute is equal to M, and self dot second is equal to S. Okay. Else we'll set all of them equal to 0. Now ये चेक करना है कि ये valid है या नहीं है. Is valid H M S. So कैसे चेक होता है? What are the conditions? कौन सा time valid होगा? Let us assume we have 24-hour format. If H is less than equal to 24 and minute is less than equal to 60 and second is less than equal to, what's happening, is less than equal to 60, return true, else return, else लिखने की भी जरूरत नहीं है क्योंकि ये रिटर्न फॉल्स पे तभी आएगा अगर ऊपर वाली कंडीशन ट्रू नहीं है. ओके, व्हाट हैपेंड, इज वैलिड. ओ, यहाँ सेल्फ नहीं लिखा, ये बड़ी प्रॉब्लम है इसकी. सॉरी, यहाँ कॉल ऐसे नहीं करना, यहाँ सेल्फ लिखना है जहाँ फंक्शन डिफाइन किया. ओके, let us create a display function now. Print self dot R, self dot minutes. I'm using a colon for separating these times. Self dot second. अभी सिंपली इतना करते हैं, एक्सेसर और म्यूटेटर फंक्शन इसके बाद लगाएंगे. इज वैलिड गलत क्यों दिखा रहा है? इफ इज वैलिड और मिनट सेकंड, कोई बात नहीं, चेक करते हैं अभी. लेट मी क्रिएट a time. T is equal to 13 hours 55 minutes 20 seconds, and then T dot display. अभी देखते हैं कहाँ क्या प्रॉब्लम आ रही है. Tuple object has no what. Oh, ये क्या किया, यहाँ पे C time तो लिखा नहीं. Okay, is valid is not defined. We have defined is valid here. R minute second. It is very much here. Problem क्या है? Should it be before this? Just प्रॉब्लम सेम है, सेम प्रॉब्लम सेम, लेट मी टेल यू। यहाँ लिखना था self dot is valid, then it will work. Okay. So if since this is valid, we have entered a valid time while creating the object, it's working. It's showing the proper time which we had entered. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Let me create one more. T2 is equal to C time 13, or let it be 12. This time I am entering 65 and 45. Since 65 minutes are wrong, T2 dot display. Let's see what happens. T2 is not defined. अब ये oh, यहाँ T1 लिखना था. Okay. Look here, it's showing 0000 because we have entered the wrong time. यहाँ तक clear है बच्चे?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now let us have accessor and mutator functions. Def set r self h self dot hs is equal to h. Because these are private members, हमें ऐसा कोई मेथड नहीं क्रिएट करना या ऐसा कुछ नहीं करना कि ये डायरेक्टली एक्सेस हो सके। set minute, let it be set hours, set minutes, self self dot m self dot is equal to m. Similarly, set seconds self, यहाँ डॉट नहीं आना था, ओके self, यहाँ कॉमा आना था, ओके s self dot ss is equal to s. Similarly, let us have these all are mutator functions. Get ours self, return self dot h. Similarly, def get minutes self, return self mm. One more, def get minutes self, return, oh, it should be not minutes, it should be seconds, return self dot mmss. ये हो गया create. For example, we have set a time. Now let us try to print t1 dot get hours. So it will print the hours. You can see it is 13. If I change it to minutes, or let me get all of them one by one. Minutes and then seconds. So it will print those one by one. ये clear हो गया बच्चे?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now instead of this, I
Yes.
can write set hours h. यहाँ इनको directly set करने की जगह I can call the functions here. It will be better. Set minutes m. Similarly, यहाँ लिखना पड़ेगा self dot, तब चलता है self dot, because these are instance methods, so we'll have to write here self. Okay. Just the same way here. Set hours 0. Set hours 1. Oh, sorry, 0 again. And set seconds. यहाँ फिर गड़बड़ होगी, minutes लिखना था. Okay, minutes and seconds. 0. Okay, fine. अब देखते हैं. It's just the same way. इसकी इंडेंटेशन में प्रॉब्लम है. गेट मिनट कहाँ गया? ओह, यहाँ पे कुछ डल गया. ओके, नाउ इट्स वर्किंग. यहाँ तक क्लियर है बच्चे?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now what we will do, have a look here. Oh. We have got a time in this format. Just a minute, bachche, I'm getting an important call. Just a minute. Okay, let's continue. I was telling you that we have created a time class, and the time is in this format, for example, 20. Okay, now if I want to add something to it, what I want to add is it will be in this format only: hours, minutes, and seconds. Okay, or simply I want to add seconds to it. For example, if I want to add 200 seconds, let's use seconds only. Okay, whatever we'll add, it will be in terms of seconds. How to add it? It's not simple straightaway method. Not that simple that you are just writing plus and it will be adding it. So there are some inbuilt operator overloaders. As you can see these, is it visible to all of you?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay, you can see there are many operator overloader methods. For example, for arithmetic operations, you can have add, sub, multiply, true division, floor division, and so on. Similarly, for comparisons, we have less than, greater than, less than equal to, greater than equal to, and not equal to. Similarly, for arithmetic operators, minus, equal to, and so on, subtraction, equal to, so many functions are there. I'll share the list with you. So what we will do, we will overload these two operators, add and subtract. So let us see how to do it. I'm telling you, we'll be adding seconds to the time. Okay. Uh, this is the special way of doing it. So we'll pass a parameter second. We will create hours and minutes out of it, because quite possible we may have uh, seconds far more than number of seconds permitted. Okay, अगर minutes उसमें से निकालने हो कैसे निकलेंगे? Yes, anybody? हमारे पास seconds हैं. For example, here, if I say we have 1250 seconds, okay? Suppose these many seconds we want to add. तो पहले इसमें से minutes निकालने हैं. कितने minutes निकलेंगे? How to extract minutes from it? बोलो बच्चे.